Welcome to Just Perf podcast, split two of our conversation with Ragini Das. In this episode, we will talk more about Ragini's entrepreneurial journey as co-founder of Leap.club. Moving on to the next part of our conversation, Ragini, where we want to know more about your entrepreneurial journey as co-founder of Leap, from corporate to startup, right? Especially when you were doing so well at Zomato, leading growth of Zomato Gold program. What was the trigger that made you decide that you want to now get your hands dirty and start something of your own?
I hate this question. Every single person asks me, did something happen at Zomato? What
Exactly.
happened? Why this
Because
feminist thing?
absolutely, you were doing so wonderfully well at Zomato, right?
I love Zomato. I think I will, and I always have been. I will continue to be Zomato's biggest cheerleader. I think the 6 years that I spent there literally taught me everything I know about life, I would say. Let me start with a little bit of my journey, right? I'm a South Indian. I was born in Delhi. I grew up all over India. My dad was in the army, so it was pretty much moving around every 2 years. I graduated in 2012 with a business degree. Don't know what got into me. Went and worked with this company called Trident in Ludhiana, which was a manufacturing company, right?
Yeah.
Survived 1 year. And right after that, I just realized it wasn't something that was my calling, at least, right? And that's when Zomato happened for me in 2013, right? And I spent 6 years there, like you said, right? Various sales, growth, engagement roles, lots of across geographies, across verticals. In my last stint, I was leading international expansion and growth for Zomato Gold, which is, of course, their subscription program, and saw that journey from zero, because I was the first person in the Gold team, to 2 million members. So lots of learnings. I scaled it to about 10 countries. So I think everything was great. So nothing happened except that, I think if you asked me in September 2019, I had no idea I would quit Zomato by end of that year, right? It was just that my co-founder at Leap was my boss at Zomato. And he and I used to keep talking about, like I said, right, professional networking being broken. Why is no one doing anything about it? And we started putting everything like on a quick deck. And while I liked the idea, I don't think I loved it enough to at least leave Zomato at that point, right? Because in my head, this is my baby. I'm furniture at Zomato.com. I am not leaving. But I think the minute the women angle came in, and once we kind of decided that we're building for women, uh, I knew it was something I can leave everything and give my all to, right?
Yep.
Worst case, what will happen? It won't work. But I know I gave it my everything, right? And I know I tried at least. So that was this thing. What was my trigger? And I'll be lying if I say there was no trigger. I was contemplating. It was not an easy decision at all. It's not something you think about and you overnight change your this thing.
Sure.
But I'd gone for a venture capital partner meeting without taking names, zero surprises, and they call all their portfolio companies. But there were 60 men and there were 2 women in that room. And that night it struck me, even at Zomato, which is, by the way, one of the most inclusive companies, or at least I've been a part of, right? I was always the only girl in the room. And I think when I started, there were enough men, there were enough women, and that with that broken rung in some sense played out even there. And the fact that this is true for every single person who I've spoken to, and I've spoken to lots of women by now, right? So I think just that thought was my trigger, and I was like, that's it. I am going to definitely build this. And I had that tough conversation with Dippy. And surprisingly, that went easy. And he was like, yeah, and I know this is something that you 100% want to do. So go ahead and do it. And that's what I did. I spent all of December 2019 literally reading, meeting people, trying to educate myself, because this is something I have no idea about. Like, I'm an F&B person through and through, like what startup really. And Jan 2020 is when we started working on Leap full time.
Great. That's an interesting story. And thank you so much for being honest, because usually people are not really so upfront about it. And knowing you professionally, having worked with you for almost a year. I think you always had that enthusiasm. You were always so energetic on the floor, working around, running around, and no reason why you're able to pull it off at Leap now. But let's
Nothing's
talk
changed
about.
except in work from home. I'm walking in my drawing room.
I can totally imagine that. But talking about your early days, right, when you were founding Leap, and then what I can recall is you were about to launch and you guys were hit by COVID. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you were able to get investments coming in. Right when, I think you were still trying to figure out what is it going to be like because of COVID. Initially,
Yeah.
what was an offline model then shifted completely to an online. We'll talk about that later. But what is so unique about Leap that you have a long waiting list now? There are investors who are just ready to get a share of that pie. What is it that is so unique about the entire proposition?
It just looks so fancy on the outside. Now, sometimes it can be a real shit show on the inside. But I think what is really unique about Leap Pulp, and since you follow Kunal Shah, you know he says this always, is that um, we're not a solution trying to find a problem. We're a real problem trying to find a solution, right? Our solutions our lanes will change lanes, right? Our solutions have changed, pivoted, like you said, like in the last 1 year, I've pivoted 3 times, right?
Yep.
So we'll come to those answers.
Yes.
But I think as long as we're on the right path, we know we're here to stay. We know we're here to win, and more importantly, make these women win. Right? Even with investors, like I said, right? I think for us, it was really important to get people who don't just believe in, of course, our mission. Because of the mission, of course, it attracts a lot of people, but people who trust me and Anand to build this, right? Who trust our decisions, who stand by us, who add real value. We in fact very consciously went after people who built businesses, right? Don't want an analyst telling me what to build. I want real people who build businesses telling me what to build, right? And I think supporting us in that journey. Even with the waitlist, I think we've spent zero money on marketing ever
Wow.
at Leap.
Wow.
Zero. Absolute. We are frugal into 100 founders, I would like to say. The waitlist actually comes from the fact that, of course, beyond the fact that my team is all out and everywhere on every social platform. Like I have my friends who literally want to unfollow me now on Instagram because they only see Leap there. But just the fact that our members make a lot of noise about Leap. There is a website called love.leap.club, and you'll see what our members have to say about Leap, right? Whether that's on a Twitter or a LinkedIn or word of mouth, right? I think I would like to believe half the people on that waitlist are people who've heard great things from other members, and that's why they're there.
So would you say a lot of it is word of mouth marketing? There are people who are then referring people. Is that how it's spreading?
100%. It's not just, I think, what we do and the social posts that we put out. And of course, I think once you end up raising and all these things happened last year, of course, like the waitlist gets a little bit of a bump. But that constant thousands of people who join every month, it's completely because members are having a great experience. We're super bullish about NPS. I think the Zomato in us makes us super anal, for the lack of a better word, about it. And yeah, I think just create great experiences for people. People will follow.
Let's talk about the point where you pivoted the entire business, right? And I know for a matter of fact, it was supposed to be an offline model, if I'm not wrong, is what you wanted to start off with, right? And then COVID hit you guys. You had to pivot the business completely to an online model, changing the entire product, the way you probably had planned the entire business flow. So how did it all happen? What were you guys thinking? How did it pan out for you guys?
I'll answer the what we were thinking. I was like, shit, did I just leave a pretty solid job to do this? But jokes apart, I think you're right. Leap at its ideation, even when we collected all this data and research, we had imagined an offline product, right? You have wellness sessions, which is all offline. You have group coaching with a set of like 15 women. There was no app. Like today, of course, my engagement's through the roof because I have so many women who are logged into the app and we have like MAU to be like super proud of. But this was not Leap. Leap was an offline model. At some point, we were considering having an offline club as well, right?
Okay.
So that was Leap at its ideation. When we started, I had personally met with 60 women, of which 30 agreed to pay me 30,000 rupees annually to be a part of this network. I drove around Delhi NCR and convinced them to pay me that money. And God bless those women, they did. They believed a brand that didn't exist. They believed two founders who weren't people who had, killed it in life, and they agreed to take that leap. And and we were all set. Our launch event was set like first week of April is when we were launching. We booked speakers, we booked the venue. Knowing me, I'd booked the caterers. Everything was sorted. And mid-March is when, of course, things hit the roof and shit hit the roof. And I think for 10 days, Anand and I were like, let's see what happens. Maybe it'll get better, because we had no idea like we would be doing this, on Zoom. Because like literally no one had any idea. And then I think in 10 days, we realized that that's it. Like, this is not changing. We can either scrap this or like just keep pushing it till things get better, or literally see what we can tweak, what we can move to online. Because let's be honest, the entire world was moving to online.
Absolutely.
Right? And if schools and colleges can do that, like why the hell can we not? So we did that. We moved all our offline elements to online, and we went ahead and launched online on a Zoom call with our 30 founding members 5 days before. Like, we pushed it by a month. So I think on the 25th of April was that Zoom call, and 1st of May the membership started. And yeah, I think after the first session, there was this girl, she leads strategy at Google. She had tears in her eyes and she said, Ragini, I don't know when was the last time I saw 30 women like this on a call, rooting for each other. And that was my goal. And it never stopped. We're 2,000 women today. And of course, like I said, we've changed lanes and how there's an app. We went back to office after that for a bit. Half my team got COVID, moved back to online and working from home. So we've been through a lot, right? But I think I lucked out with a team that's resilient. I lucked out with members who are so amazing, always trusting us, always giving us feedback. And of course, we've had our fair share of learnings, and we've fallen, we've picked ourselves, and we're hopefully on the right track.
Great. And what's the wait list like currently as we speak?
10,000 women.
Wow. That must give you some goosebumps, huh?
It does. I'm waiting for it to get to 100K, and we're hopefully getting there. Yeah.
Super. So Leap is, in fact, catering to a very niche audience, right? Of course, it is not for the masses, if I'm correct. So what is the future like you've planned for Leap? Let's say 2 years or 3 years down the line. What is it that is planned for Leap?
So one, I don't think it's a niche. We're building for all women. Right? I think whether you are now 2 years in your career, 10 years in your career, 30 years in your career, I have women across. I have an actor, I have a sports professional, I have someone in textiles, I have someone, of course, in your Dunzos and Zomatos and MMTs and all of that. I think when I started Leap, I thought, okay, it will, be suitable for like women in these companies or startups and stuff like that, because that's the world we'd seen. But let's be honest, I think in the last 1 year, it's completely changed. I think it makes as much sense to someone in public policy as it does to someone working at Pepsi, right? So literally everyone. Two, what we have planned is two major things I'm looking forward to in the next 1 year. And I don't want to talk about 2 years and 3 years, because let's be honest that you can't predict these things. Where you are is going to be very different from where you were 2 months ago, and very, very different from where you'll be 6 months later, right? So yes, we have chalked out, oh, this is what we want to do in a 2022 and a 2023. But these things change. But what we're definitely bullish about and are very, very kicked about doing is one, expanding the cross geographies. I think Leap is needed in the world, not just in India. We already have 10% of our member base that's international. I have women in Singapore, I have women in Dubai, London, everywhere. We just have to customize it, follow the playbook, and launch there properly. And we've done it before, so
Absolutely.
no problem in doing that at all.
You've done that wonderfully well for Zomato Gold, right?
We've done that wonderfully. I think both Anand and I have done it. And the second thing is jobs, actually. But there is a lot of hiring that happens today in the Leap platform. There are people, like I said, who found jobs. They've hired for their teams. They've found co-founders. So there is already a lot happening. We've started to put a structure to it so people can properly start hiring. I think very soon, in a couple of months, we already have like all these companies who reach out to us saying that, how do we get access to this pool of talent? And we have access to a lot of data. We know exactly how these members have rated their companies, how they're rated with respect to gender diversity, their experience, everything you need to know. So everything a LinkedIn or a Glassdoor knows and more. And we're very kicked to build that out over the next 1 year. And yeah, we've already started work on that. And hopefully by 2022, we'll get there.
Great. One thing, Ragini, you feel probably, while of course it's a short duration of time, it's been just about 1.5 years. But one thing, if you are able to go back in time and change, what would that be?
Nothing. Zero. I wouldn't change COVID. I wouldn't change not having the app. I wouldn't change all the mistakes that we made. I think every single thing teaches you something. I wouldn't change anything about my experience with Leap, building Leap. I wish I spent more time with my family and with my friends. I haven't gotten a chance to do that at all, I'll be honest. I've not seen my parents in a year, right? So I wish I did more of that. But when it comes to building Leap and how we built it, nothing at all. None of the successes, none of the failures. We wouldn't change anything.
Great. Before we wrap this up, one special message which you would want to share with our listeners, one learning which you would want to share with them.
I think my biggest learning, and I quote this a lot, is and it honestly starts from when we started Leap and we spoke about the entire pivot, etc. Right? I think when things are your ideas or your babies, you get very, very attached to them. You get very, very married to them. Don't do that. I think it's very easy to get married to your ideas, but constantly question yourself, because we chase such a big mission. We constantly question ourselves whether we're creating impact, constantly sometimes second guess ourselves, right? But I think just going back to the drawing board again and again and not getting married to your thought processes is very, very important, whether you're whether you have a startup of your own, whether you're working in a corporate or in a startup or anywhere, right? Whether you're a freelancer, always question and always question the impact and what delta value can you really bring. And I think that's been my one larger learning. And for people who are not members and are listening, join the waitlist at www.leap.club and we'll get in touch.
Great. Of course. And to all our listeners, if you have not joined the waitlist yet, please do. I know for a matter of fact, there are a lot of my friends who are already part of Leap, and everyone talks so good about the entire network, about the entire experience of being part of that community. So if you're not part of Leap, I think you should join the waitlist. You can message me directly and I will ask Ragini to push your name a little higher.
Yeah, happy to bump you up.
Great. Thank you so much, Ragini. It was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for taking time out. Wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I need all the luck. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any feedback, please do leave your comments in the comments section. Or if you really like the video, please do click on like and share with your friends. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, because there are some interesting guests lined up in coming weeks for you.